Hey guys, thanks for joining me for a Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel video. Now, those of you familiar with my channel will be like, what? What's going on? So those of you that don't know, I do play Yu-Gi-Oh! And I did some Yu-Gi-Oh! Videos over on 5 9 Gaming. I might link one of those at the end of the video in case you want to check it out. But I'm kind of getting to the point where I'm kind of ready to start maybe doing some Yu-Gi-Oh! Stuff on my channel. For those of you that are new to my channel that have no interest, by the way, my channel is Dragon Ball Z Dokkan Battle and Dissidia Final Fantasy Opera Omnia. That will always be like the main focus of my channel, but once in a while I like to do a fun side video, right? So if you're a Yu-Gi-Oh person seeing this and you like it, you can feel free to subscribe, but I can't guarantee how often I'm going to upload Yu-Gi-Oh stuff, but every once in a while I think I might do a Yu-Gi-Oh video. We'll see how well this video does. So what I'm going to do in this video is I'm going to do a deck profile on one of my personal favorite decks and a deck that I've played a lot. And I think my plan for if I do more Yu-Gi-Oh content on my channel, it's going to be for decks that I have a passion for, that I really like, that I've played a lot in real life and on Master Duel, that I would like to do deck profiles on. So I'm going to do in this video is I'm going to explain this deck, do a profile on it, and then show you guys some replays to show you how it operates and how it works. So what we're looking at today is my actual favorite deck in Yu-Gi-Oh, which is the Gusto deck. Now, just so you guys know, Gusto is not top tier by any means, but I can consistently get up to like gold tier on Master Duel with it. It definitely catches people off guard. It's a deck that people don't expect. And what you'll see in some of my replays is when people don't understand how Gustos work, they basically kill themselves. So we'll talk about that and why that happens. But this is just one of my favorite decks. And I have played it in current meta, and I do try to win with it. But it's never really going to top like a regional or anything like that. But it is a fun deck. I think that can get people off guard. And I think I've really worked over the years to like constantly refine it to make it as good as I possibly can in the current meta. And I do feel like this is probably one of the best builds you could do for the current meta. But even at that, it's still not going to be like top tier. So just keep that in mind. But if you love Gustos, you want to know how to build them, this is what we're doing. So basically, the deck focuses around 3 main boss monsters, right? So the main boss of Gusto is Gusto Sprees. Basically what this monster does is it makes it so this monster alone, so Sprees herself, she cannot be destroyed by battle. And while she's on the field, any battle involving a Gusto monster, your opponent takes the battle damage instead of you. And this does not count as effect damage, it counts as battle damage. So they take the battle damage. So if they have something like Blackwing Dragon, which can negate effect damage, it can't actually negate this. It's considered battle damage, and then your opponent takes it. Okay? So the whole way that Gustos work, for those of you who are unfamiliar, is you get Sprees out, and then they have a bunch of little monsters that poke with really small attack stats, and when they're destroyed by battle, they float into another one that can keep attacking, and you can kind of loop attacking, and basically you want to beat your little monsters into their big humongous monsters and deal damage to them. So that's the main Gusto strategy. Now the other boss monster we're running here is we're running Crystal Wing Synchro Dragon. In order to get Crystal Wing Synchro Dragon out effectively, we just run a small Wind Witch package. To me, Wind Witch is still one of the best ways to get this guy out effectively, and Crystal Wing Synchro Dragon is still this is a top tier monster to bring out. Like, this is a top tier boss monster. If your deck can make this guy, like, he's really, really good in the current meta. It's basically once per turn quick effect, negate any monster effect, destroy it, gain the attack of that monster, and then if they try beating you over with something really huge, if the monster's above, level 5 or higher, he's going to gain all the attack of that monster. So you can't really beat over this guy unless you have like a really strong Link monster or Xyz monster that doesn't have a level, right? And then the other thing is, because of the way you summon this guy with the Wind Witch package, one of the Wind Witch monsters you summon it with will make it so it can't be destroyed by card effects. So here's a pretty much like a walking negate monster effects, gets really beefy attacks, really can't be attacked over, and then on top of that cannot be destroyed by card effects. Very, very good monster, especially in the Wind Witch build, because you get that bonus cannot be destroyed by card effects. And you'd be surprised, a lot of people aren't familiar with the Wind Witches and they don't understand how that works either, and they will say Lightning Storm this guy and wonder why he's still in the field. Well, can't be destroyed by card effects, right? So that's the second boss monster. And then the third one is, this is another top tier monster in the current meta. This is Baron de Fleur. Baron is ridiculous. A lot of you all are familiar with Baron. Basically, once per turn, pop a card on the field, and then you have a quick effect Omni Negate that you can basically use once while it's on the field, right? But what you're going to see in a lot of my replays is I can open with Baron and Crystal Wing. And if you open Baron and Crystal Wing, like, that shuts a lot of people down. They've got to get through 2 negates. And so they got to be able to get through both of those negates and then still find a way to get around your creatures. And being that Crystal Wing also cannot be destroyed by card effect makes it very difficult. So a lot of people will see that opening start, and if they can't deal with it, they will just shut down and scoop, right? Now, this deck isn't the most crazy consistent deck in the world, but I have done some edits to it to make it as consistent as possible. So let's talk about the actual deck build, right? So for the Gusto lineup, you want to run 3 of the floaters because you're going to go through them a lot and you want them to continue to come out. So Gusto Eagle, Gusto Goldo, those are the 2 main floaters you're going to run 3 ofs in there, right? So basically when they are destroyed by battle, they're going to float into a different Gusto. Actually, Gusto Goldo is even better because he can actually be destroyed by card effect as well and still get that effect off. It's the only one that doesn't have to be destroyed by battle to get it off, okay? Winda I just run as a 1 of. Winda, you know, when you're running pure Gustos, you might run this as a 3 of. This is another, basically just a monster that if it's attacked by battle and sent to the graveyard, it floats into another one. The thing with Winda, she's a little bit more restricted because it has to be destroyed by battle with your opponent's attacking monster. It doesn't work if you attack your opponent's monster. And what you find with Gusto is you actually want them to float when you attack, because the general idea is let's say you've got Eagle on the field with Sprees. Eagle's only got 200 attack. So let's say they have like a monster with 3,000 attack. Let's say they have a Baroness on the field, right? Baron de Fleur. Gusto Eagle can attack into Baron. They're going to take 2,800 damage because you got Sprees out. And then Eagle is actually going to float into another monster. So you could float into like a Griffin that only has 800 attack again and deal another 2,200. I mean, that's like over 5,000 damage just from one monster going, right? So that's why it's important that you want them to be able to float when you attack. So Winda just isn't as good there. But I think at 1 of, Winda is good because she's a character that you might want to float into and then hope your opponent attacks it just as another body. Because you can run out of bodies and you want to be able to constantly be able to float with these monsters. And when I say float, I mean they're destroyed by battle. You search for one from your deck and summon one back, right? And they have different requirements of what they can summon, right? Like Eagle here can summon a level 4 or lower non-tuner Gusto. I believe Goldo here can get a level 2 or lower Gusto, and then I believe Winda gets a tuner, a Gusto tuner monster. So they all kind of search for slightly different things and can float them out, right? Now some other Gustos we're running. We are going to run Pilica. Pilica is probably the single best Gusto in the game. If you're looking at building Gustos in real life, like Pilica is one of the more expensive cards. Currently on TCG players, she's probably like a $7 to $8 card for a super rare. So that's telling you she's pretty good and she's never been reprinted. But she's very good because you can use her in anything generic wind. Why she's so good is when she is summoned, she will special summon a wind tuner, any wind tuner, not just Gusto, a wind tuner from the graveyard. So there's a lot of wind strategies, even if they're not running Gusto, they will just toss in Pilica because Pilica is so good at enabling synchro plays. So if you're doing a synchro-based wind deck, Pilica is almost a must-run even if it's not Gusto. So Pilica is super, super good there. Then another one we're running is Gusto Vidir. This is one of the newer Gustos. Gusto Vidir is ridiculously good. Basically, it's one of the only winged beasts that isn't actually a floater. But what it does is when you summon it, you can basically take any winged beast from your any Gusto from your deck and send it to the graveyard. This is good because then you can send in food for Pilica to summon out. And then what it can do is it can special summon a Gusto from your hand. So the main combo you do with this is if you have Vidir and Pilica in hand, you normal summon Vidir, use Vidir to send your level 3 tuner to the graveyard. Pilica will special summon off of Vidir, and then Pilica will special summon the level 3 tuner, or whatever tuner you want. Then you can make Sprees or make something else, and you can do some nasty combos. So Vidir is good. The other thing is just if one of your Gusto monsters is sent to the graveyard while it's in your hand, you can special summon Vidir and then do all of that. So Vidir can actually work off turn, which is very good. Then we just run one Cam. Cam is honestly a monster I could take out completely, but it's another one I do like running at 1. Basically, her effect is you shuffle 2 Gustos into the deck, draw a card, so it can just be nice to get that nice draw. But I do like her because this deck does a lot of searching and summoning. So like there's a lot of ways you can just summon monsters off of searches and fetch her. She's just a nice option to have like when I'm floating my other Gustos. So it would be Gusto Eagle, who basically can just get any level 4 lower non-tuner. This can be an option to get off of Eagle just for the levels, right? So you might want a level 4 monster to go into like a Baroness or like a bigger synchro play. You might need that body. And then before you synchro, you can use her effect and draw a card off of it. So you can kind of plus off of it and then have your synchro. But you definitely don't want more than one because she doesn't float out. She's not a card you want to use your normal summon on for the turn. She's just a kind of a floating option that you want once in a while. But I do like Cam at 1. I wouldn't run her at more than 1 though, right? And then the last Gusto we are running is Gusto Griffin, and we're going to run this at 3. Now, Gusto Griffin, by default, doesn't seem like a very good card. It just says when it's sent from the hand to the graveyard, you can special summon a Gusto from your deck. That effect is very good, but you're like, it's basically a discard effect, right? Like kind of like a Dark World, like you got to send it to the graveyard, which Gusto isn't inherently built to do that. But there's 2 important cards. So Gusto got a very important equip card that helps Griffin operate very well. And then there's another really good win card that we use for consistency that runs so good with Griffin. And running Griffin at 3 is actually works out just fine because we have plays to get it consistent to where we can discard Griffin. And if you get Griffin off, like you extend, like you get some crazy combos going with Griffin. So we'll talk about how we're going to use Griffin. So that's it for like the main Gusto lineup. Then we've got the Wind Witch package. So if you're familiar with Wind Witch, this is going to be a familiar package, but I'll kind of explain it. So we run Wind Witch Ice Spell at 2, and this is the only Wind Witch we play more than 1 of. The rest are just 1-ofs. This is pretty much just, the reason why you don't run these at 2s or 3s is this is just a 1-of combo in the deck. You get the combo once, and then you're kind of out. And basically, if you get the combo started, you pretty much summon all of the Wind Witches. You don't really use any of, and you don't really need them after that, right? So Ice Spell is your starter, that's why you run it at 2. If you open with Ice Spell, or use one of the other combos in my deck to search for Ice Spell, basically if you control no monsters, you just special summon her, and then when you special summon her, you get to special summon a Wind Witch from your deck. So what you do is you use Ice Spell to special summon one of the other ones to extend the combo. So I'll explain that as I go through, but I run Ice Spell at 2. I run Freeze Bell at 1. Now, Freeze Bell, honestly, you could probably just not play at all, because the only time I use Freeze Bell, it's a backup strategy if I basically will search for this with Ice Bell. If the card I normally want to summon for Ice Bell I've already drawn or has been used, then Freeze Bell is kind of your backup. So it's nice to have as like a backup, but it's a decent card. Basically, Freeze Bell, if you only control Wind Witch monsters and you have to control at least 1, you can just special summon it. So it's a free special summon, and then you can make it a level, it can keep it as a level 3, or you can make her a level 4 for a synchro play, right? So that's basically what Freeze Bell does. Then we've got Glass Bell. Glass Bell, when Glass Bell is normal summoned or special summoned, Glass Bell can add a Wind Witch to your hand. And then I think Ice Bell also after she's summoned, she'll burn for 500, right? Wind Witch does a little bit of burning. It's not really the main strategy, but the burning is nice. So we've got that, and then the last one we have is Snowbell. I just got to figure out, Snowbell's up here. So Snowbell's just a level 1 tuner that can be special summoned if you control 2 or more wind monsters. So this is a monster that's pretty much just splashable in any wind deck. But the big thing with Snowbell is a monster that is synchro summoned using it cannot be destroyed by card effects. So our main combo basically will use Snowbell to bring out Crystal Wing, which makes it so Crystal Wing can't be destroyed by card effects. Okay, so here's the way the combo works, and you're going to see it demonstrated. But basically, you would special Ice Spell if you control no monsters. Ice Spell then will special summon Glass Spell. Glass Spell gets specialed, and then what's going to happen is Ice Spell and Glass Spell will both trigger. Ice Spell will deal 500 to your opponent. Glass Spell is going to add a card to your hand. With Glass Spell, then you add Snowbell to hand. Then you can special Snowbell. So on the field, you've got a level 4. It's actually a level 4 tuner, and then a level 3 non-tuner, and then a level 1 tuner, right? So then Freeze Bell you just don't use in that instance, right? But if you say I already had Snowbell in hand, then you could add Freeze Bell and you can actually special summon both of them and have an extra body. And keep in mind, all of this is done without your normal summon. So then you can still normal summon a Gusto and get off Gusto plays, which is really, really crazy, right? So then what happens is you have those 3 monsters out. So you've got Ice Bell on the field, you've got Glass Bell on the field, and then you've got Snowbell on the field, which is your level 1 tuner. Basically, you synchro your 4-star and your 3-star into your level 7 synchro here, which is Winter Bell. Winter Bell comes on the field. Basically, it targets a Wind Witch in your grave, and it deals damage to your opponent based on the level of the monster. So you do that just to get free effect damage, and then you synchro off Winter Bell and your Ice Bell into Crystal Wing. And then Crystal Wing is there doing Crystal Wing things. And that's, so literally, if you open Ice Bell basically just turns into Crystal Wing, and you don't use a normal summon. That's why the Wind Witch combo is really good. I honestly would, like, if you don't have the Wind Witch set and you like playing Wind decks, like, you should pick it up, because I think it's super cheap right now. But if it ever becomes meta, like it's gonna go way up. And when Wind Witch first came out, they were really expensive because Crystal Wing had just come out. Crystal Wing was like a $60 to $80 card at the time, and like a lot of the Wind Witch pieces were like 10 to 20 bucks a piece. So if it ever becomes meta, like you probably want to get it now before it gets meta again. But I've been running Wind Witch for a long time, and the combo still holds up. It's still really good. Now, obviously, one of the weaknesses of the deck, it's really easy to interrupt, right? They can Ash Blossom along the way, they can imperm you, and then yep, combo's dead. So that's the thing. Like everything seems really great about this deck, but that's why it's not like meta relevant. It's very easy to stop, right? But if they don't have counters or you have ways around it, you can sometimes extend a little bit. Like you can open because like you can get very good like solo Gusto plays. So you can open with your Wind Witch plays, try to get that combo going. You're not using up your normal summon. They might use a negate or two there, and then you can go up and do your normal Gusto play, and then hopefully they have no more negates, and you can at least get a Gusto start, right? Which you're going to see how we do that here. All right, so that's the Wind Witch combo. Then just the non-kind of archetype things we're running here is we are running 3 of Win the Wind Channeler, and she is imperative to the deck's consistency. She has an effect where, like, if a wind monster is sent to the graveyard while she's on the field, you can special summon her. I never use her for that. The main thing I use her for is you send her and another wind monster from your hand to the graveyard, and you get to add any wind monster from your deck with 1,500 or less defense from your deck to your hand. So this is where Gusto Griffin comes into play. So the optimal play is to discard her and Griffin. Then you could say, so, like, let's say it's turn 1, and you have her and Griffin, right? You discard her and Griffin, and if I have no field, I always search for Ice Spell. And then literally Ice Spell can go out, get me my Crystal Wing that can't be destroyed by card effects, right? Then Griffin, because it was discarded, Griffin gets a summon off of that, right? So then Griffin could just summon like whatever Gusto you need, and you kind of do a Gusto play from there. So that's just like a really nice way that you can go off of it, which is really, really cool. Actually, if you discard Griffin with it, getting Ice Spell may not work because you're actually going to be summoning something to the field. But I've done it plenty of times where I've discarded not, if I've discarded not Griffin first turn, just discard something, then you go for that. So if you're actually discarding Griffin, you're probably going to go for like a Gusto instead and just focus on Gusto plays, right? But anyways, that is a nice combo, just having that with Griffin, because you're getting free bodies on the field for discarding. Because the big drawback with this is you're pitching 2 cards for 1. So it's actually a -1 when you play it. But if you have Griffin, then you're getting a monster on the field, and it's a much better play. And getting that search for literally basically anything you want is super, super clutch, right? So that's what that is for, and I run that at 3. Then the other thing I run at 3 is this Harpy's Pet Dragon Fearsome Fire Blast. This card is incredible as just for any generic wind deck. It does have an effect that only applies to Harpies, but we don't really care. It's basically a level 7 body, and all you have to do is control a level 6 or lower wind monster. Very easy condition, and it is a free special summon. And basically, this guy is a level 7 body. Now, the reason why this guy is so good, it literally, you just have a level 3 tuner on the field. So let's say you have Gusto Guldo on the field, you just special summon that guy and you instantly have Baron de Fleur. Like a very, very easy Baron de Fleur. So that's why I run that at 3, is because I want to make an easy Baron. And you're going to see in some of my replays, I have several replays where I open Crystal Wing and Baron, and even Sprees, like all 3 of my bosses on turn 1. It gets pretty hard to beat at that point if you don't if the opponent doesn't have an answer for it, right? So let's go into our Spell and Trap lineup. For Gusto cards, we run 1 Contact with Gusto. This is just a 1-of because it can be good in situations, but you don't want too much of this. It's basically destroy any card on the field by shuffling 2 Gustos from your graveyard into your deck. So the reason you don't want to overdo it with this is you might not have the creatures in graveyard to be able to activate it. And 2, like if your opponent has too many negates, it could just be a dead card. But it is a really nice spot removal at 1, and it is going to be kind of searchable within our deck. So we just run that at 1. Then the other Gusto we run is Tailwind, and we run this at 3. And this is the newest spell card that they've gotten, and it's incredibly good. This is just a crazy good spell card. Basically, you equip it to a Gusto. That Gusto cannot be destroyed by card effects. And then once per turn while it is equipped, you can basically search for a Gusto from your deck and summon it depending on what it's equipped to, right? So if it's equipped to a level 4 or lower, you can special summon any Gusto from your deck with a different type. So if I, say, have a Winged Beast equipped, I would synchro summon or not synchro summon, but I would summon the Psychic monster from my deck, right? If it's a level 5 or higher, which typically will be Sprees, you get a level 1 tuner, which is going to be Eagle. So it's actually really good on Sprees because you can get your little monster to start like your attack combo and start beating into stuff. But if you have a small monster on the field, you can usually go into, like if you have Goldo or Eagle, you can equip it to one of them, then usually go into like Pilika, and then Pilika is going to summon something from the grave, and all of a sudden you got material to do things with, right? So Tailwind is really good. The other thing that's good about Tailwind, and this synergizes very well with Griffin, is if it's in the graveyard, you can basically banish it, discard I think it's a Gusto card. No, just discard one wind monster. So banish it, discard any wind monster, and then add a Gusto Speller Trap from your deck to your hand. So what you can do is if you have Griffin in hand, you banish this, discard Griffin. Griffin's going to get a summon, and then this can search for either another Tailwind, or you can get contact with Gusto depending on what you need. I usually just go into another Tailwind, right? And then that's it for Gusto Spell and Traps. So being that we just talked about Tailwind, this is why we run Foolish Burial Goods. Right now I have this at 2. I've tried it at 3. I feel like 3 is maybe a little bit too heavy. I'm kind of liking it at 2. So you just use this to send Tailwind to your graveyard. So then if you have Griffin in your hand, then you can very easily use it. So here's the thing. Griffin at 3 might seem like a lot for a card that's contingent on being discarded, but we've got 3 Wind Channelers, we've got 3 Tailwinds, and we've got 2 Foolish Burials. So that's, 8 cards that you could open with a Griffin that can get you into using Griffin properly. So as crazy as it seems, that actually works. Like when I first started reading about people using Griffin, I was kind of iffy on it because I never considered Griffin as a main Gusto player, but it is actually legitimately good with these new cards, right? So that's what you do there. Then you run Emergency Teleport. Now, the ban lists are different on each game and in real life. So in real life, I actually run 3 Teleport. On Master Duel, I only run 2 because you're limited to 2. But basically, Teleport, you use it on Pilika. So provided you just have one of your Wing Beast tuners in the graveyard, or just any Wind tuner in the graveyard, you can Teleport for Pilika at any time. Pilika is instantly going to grab the tuner out of the graveyard, and you have a Synchro play. So Teleport basically equips to an easy Synchro play when you need it. So that's why you run those. I run 3 Imperms just because I like monster negation. Now, for stuff like the traps I've got here, I've got Imperm, and then I've got 2 Goes and Match. Now, this is kind of like flavor of the month, whatever you want to play. Like, if you have other staples you like if you like Lightning Storm better, or you like other cards better, totally run what you feel comfortable with. I really like Goes and Match and Gusto, but it's going to vary depending on the meta. There's a lot of decks that Goes and Match doesn't hit, and there's a lot that does. In real life, I actually side deck Goes and Match, because I don't know how good it's going to be against the deck I'm playing, so I like to know what I'm playing before I go into Gozen. And if Gozen's good, I probably will side in too. But on Master Duel, we don't have side decks. So you have to take kind of these cards, and you just have to gamble with them. And usually Gozen's going to be good for me, so I am main decking it. But if I feel like the current meta on Master Duel, like everybody's got all same typings and Gozen doesn't hit them, then I'll probably go into something else, right? But I like Gozen. I actually, in my real life tournament, I actually did get first place, and it was at a trophy tournament for locals, and there's really good players there. And I actually beat a Flunderies deck with this, and Goes and Match helped because Flunderies has enough different typings that they couldn't do their combos. And I actually was able to beat Flunder with this Gusto deck, which was pretty crazy, right? And this was actually before Baron and stuff was out, so it was without the Fearsome Fireblast Baron stuff. This was just Crystal Wing, Wind Witch, and Sprees. That was it, and I was able to win a local with it pretty good, so that was nice. So that's basically the deck, and then we go to extra deck. So I do run Sprees at 3. Honestly, you can probably run Sprees at 2 if you want to open up a spot. Because it's pretty rare that I would actually go into Sprees 3 times. It's such my main monster. I just always want to have access to it. And if you're playing against Dogmatica or something and they can wipe your extra deck, not having access to Sprees pretty much kills Gustos. They have to have Sprees. So I run it at 3 as kind of a safety net. But if you wanted it at 2, you're probably okay. I run Goldos at 1. Goldos isn't that crazy. You probably don't have to run it at all. I just want it to have a level 5 play. If anything, it's a level 5 I can go into and then synchro up into something bigger. Goldos is just shuffle 2 Gustos in the deck, destroy a face-up monster, nothing too crazy. So just think of it as an extra body you can go into. Then we have Lapland Pilika. This is the newest synchro. Lapland Pilika is really cool, but it's not something you're going to use a lot. So I think one of this is plenty. Basically what this does, it's a level 6 with 1900 attack, 2600 defense, and basically your opponent cannot target other Gusto monsters except this one. So it's a great way to kind of protect other Gustos on the field. But the real use out of it, you never just want to summon this and only have this on the field you're going to be a dead duck. The time you use this, as long as you have a level 3 Gusto in your hand, then you go into this, like not counting what you're synchroing on the field, right? So if I've got a level 6 synchro play out on the field, and let's say I have like a Vidir or a Guldo, like one of those level 3s, then I go into Lapland Pilica, because what Lapland Pilica does is when it's summoned, you can basically special summon a Gusto from your hand, and then special summon one from the deck, and you immediately synchro summon with them. So provided you can make sprees with something from your hand and deck, then you go into Lapland Pilica. So what it is you go into this, and then let's say you summon Guldo from hand, and then get a Pilica from deck, then they're immediate, and they don't get their effects when you do this, they just immediately synchro as it resolves, and then you get sprees off of that. So basically all Lapland Pilica allows you to do is if you have the proper monster in hand, instead of just summoning for sprees and being done, you get this, which then in turn goes into sprees, and you're actually getting a full extra body, and then this is there to help protect sprees. So Lapland Pilica has saved me, because there have been times when my opponent has had an out to sprees, but it's a target, and so they have to target this first, get this, and then my spree survives. The other thing is if Sprees is equipped with Tailwind to Gusto, Sprees also cannot be destroyed by card effects, which makes it even harder to get rid of, and Sprees inherently can't be destroyed by battle. So it just makes Sprees really hard to get rid of if you have this out. So once again, I don't go into it a lot, but if I have my normal rank or level 6 play, I go into that if I have a level 3 in my hand, is what I do, right? Clearwing is just a really good solid generic level 7 option. So instead of going into Winter Bell with your play, if you want to, you could go into this first, and maybe your opponent, you're worried about them having an effect that this guy can negate. Basically, this guy can negate an effect as a quick effect that targets a level 5 or higher monster, or he can just negate the effect of a level 5 or higher monster. So against the right decks, this guy can actually be pretty devastating. So it's very easy to open with this guy and Crystal Wing if you want to, which can be really nice. So he's just another generic level 7 option. And then as I said before, we got the 2 Crystal Wings. We've got the Winter Bell, which I talked about already. This one is one you honestly wouldn't need to run. Diamond Bell is, I just have it as another 8-star option. It actually has come in clutch for me before to win a match. What it does is it's like Winter Bell, where it comes out, it targets something in the graveyard, does direct damage to your opponent. It does more damage than Winter Bell does. The cool thing about this card is anytime you deal damage to your opponent, it gets to pop a card on the field. So I have used this for like clutch spot removal on like really toxic cards that I can't get rid of. So that's why I use it, and I think at 1 it's worth having. But usually if you're going into a level 8 play, you always want to go into Crystal Wing. The other thing is Crystal Wing requires a synchro monster to make it. So the other good reason about having Diamond Bell, it's an 8-star that I can make without needing a synchro. So if I just want an 8-star option that it's a situation where you can't summon for Crystal Wing, I think it's just a decent option there, right? This guy I honestly don't use too much. It is a nice option. The deck can make it super easy. This is a 9-star option, Stellar Wind Wolf Riot. It's not the craziest. It just gains attack anytime a monster effect is activated. And then if you get its attack up to 4,000, you can shuffle this and all cards your opponent controls into the deck. So if you can get this guy at the 4,000 attack, it's devastating. The problem is your opponent's going to see it on the field, and your opponent isn't going to let it get to 4,000 before it can do its effect. So I don't know. It's kind of just in there for fun, but you probably could put something better in here. Here's the other thing too. I'm just not a fan of like link monsters, so you could just go like do some generic link stuff in here. I know a lot of you have basic link combos you like to do. I'm just not a fan of linking, so I just typically avoid link stuff. I'm just not a fan of it, but I know it's more meta to do that. But you could put the wind that is the link monster. Like a lot of like the elemental decks will run the charmer of their element as a link monster, so you could put that in there as a link option as you want to. Or if you want to run like, you know, Appaloosa, Masquerena, like all that kind of generic stuff, sure, you could run that too. Now this guy is super clutch, and I do recommend you run this guy. Totem Bird at 1 is very good on this deck. A rank 3 Xyz is very easy to make, and this guy's just clutch. So what he does is he basically can negate any spell or trap effect by pitching both of its materials. So basically it's just a one-time quick effect spell trap negate. But in the right situation, like this dude has totally saved me. If I'm in a situation where like I know I'm about to win, but my opponent's got a bunch of spell and traps down, I usually go into this guy first. Then when they try to play whatever they want to play, I usually can negate it, right? Or even like if I get this guy out turn 1, and I'm playing like a branded player or something, they try to play branded fusion, this guy can negate their branded fusion out. So if my opponent doesn't know what this does and they don't do what they need to do to get rid of it ahead of time, it can be a really clutch negate. Now Totem Bird isn't something I use a ton, but it definitely has come in handy, and I do like to have it as a rank 3 option, right? So anyways, that's the deck. So let's go ahead. Let's hop into some replays, and we can see how some of this is working like in action, right? By the way, I will put my like friend code up here if anybody wants to. I have like no friends on this game. Like I haven't done any content on it really on my own channel. I don't really go out and like look for friends here. So if you want to be my friend on Master Duel, that's my ID right there. So if you want to follow me, feel free to do that. But let's go into replays. And I've got some good ones. Now, I've got like, 7 replays here. I don't know if I'll go through all of them, but we'll go through a few of them. Most of these are pretty quick, right? So let's go ahead and play this replay. And I'm just going to commentate over and kind of explain what's happening. I might have them go slow at first so that you guys can keep up. But then eventually, what I might do is speed it up so it goes faster, right? So let's see what's happening in this match. So this here is just like a typical, like pretty good start, right? And once again, you're going to see the consistency. So here's Win the Wind Channeler, pitching a Wind Monster with it to go into Ice Bell, right? And then once again, Ice Bell turns into Crystal Wing. So special her. Going to get Glass Bell. Both of their effects are going to activate. One's going to deal 500 damage. Glass Bell is going to add 1 to hand. So Glass Bell is going to get Snowbell. Snowbell can special because I have 2 wind monsters on the field. Okay, and now we go into our level 7 Synchro, which is going to be Winter Bell. Winter Bell is going to come out, and Winter Bell is going to target a Wind Witch in the grave to deal 800 damage, and then they're going to Synchro into Crystal Wing. And now I've got Crystal Wing. So once again, we've done all of that, and we have not even normaled yet. So now we can normal Pilika, and Pilika can grab Glassbell, who is a tuner. And then we equip our spell card, Tailwind, and now Tailwind can special summon another one. And then Vidir pops off and pitches one and summons another one. So we got all that. Then we're going to Synchro. And right here we go into Sprees. And then Sprees, I forgot to mention, Sprees will add a Gusto card from my graveyard to my hand. So I usually will either add Griffin or I will add Pilika. In this instance, we had Griffin because the spell card's in the graveyard. Banish it, pitch Griffin to get another spell card. Griffin now gets a summon. That's going to go into another Pilika. I can equip again the Sprees to keep Sprees safe. Now I've got another Synchro play. Now we're going to go into a 7-star. And now I get Winter Bell. And then Winter Bell's going to go again. And we're going to go into Baron. Now, this is a slightly older build where I did have 2 Winter Bells. That's why I was able to do that. But that could have just been Crystal Wing instead, right? But look at this turn. We got Sprees, we got Baron, we got Crystal Wing. It's a pretty hard turn for them to get around. So they do an effect. I don't even know what they're doing, right? And I'm like, they're doing the Dark Magician stuff. So I'm like, all right, I'll negate that. I'm pretty sure Rod is a search, right? So we let that search go off. Or we negate that. I don't know why. There we go. Get that off the field. Then they're using Magician Souls. We negate with Baron. So we just use our 2 negates. And then at this point, they're like, yeah, I can't really do anything. And I think they're basically out at this point. I'll go fast here because they're now trying to fusion summon and do a bunch of stuff. All right, so they fusion summon the Dark Magicians. They have no idea what Sprees does. They attack, they take damage. So like, what the heck is this? They give up, right? Because we got him next turn anyways. So that's the first replay. So that's just like a really standard like start that you can get with this deck and just put up some insanity, right? Let's go ahead and play this one. I'm going to go slow at first, just so we can keep up with the combos if I'm explaining new things, and then I'll speed it up as we're kind of getting comfortable with it. But I know a lot of you are probably watching because either you're not familiar with Gusto or you want to get better at it. So, you know, I never like when I watch YouTubers and they just like have everything go so fast and I can't really tell what's going on. I really want it explained to me when I'm watching, so I'm trying to do it the way that I would want you guys to have it. So we open with Foolish so we can send Tailwind. Now we've got the same combo, right? So this is the Wind Witch combo. It's the exact same thing that we're doing, right? This one was a slightly different variant of it because of what we started in hand. So since we had Snowbell in hand, we can actually go to Freeze Bell and just get an extra body. That's all we did there. Okay? And then we're going Winter Bell, and then we can go Crystal Wing again, right? Now remember, the Foolish sent the Tailwind to Graveyard, and we've got Griffin in hand. So once again, really nice combo. So we're going to open with Crystal Wing, and now we're going to banish Tailwind, discard Griffin. Griffin gets a summon, Tailwind's going to add another Tailwind, and now Griffin gets a summon. Griffin now can go into Pilika, Pilika summon from Graveyard, right? And now we've got another big Synchro play. We can do Tailwind also on Pilika to get another monster on the field. So we'll get a Goldo. Now we're going to start synchroing off. So here we're going to go into a 7-star play, which is going to be Winter Bell again. And then we can do Winter Bell into Baron. Once again, this was an older version where I ran 2 Winter Bells. So this definitely could have been, Clear Wing, right? As long as you just have a level 7. And here we go. We've got Baron and Crystal Wing again. Now, they're going to call by the grave me, whatever. I don't really care. That's fine. They can call by the grave that. I don't mind. All right, now this is against the Sprite deck, right? Sprite is top tier. But once again, we got a negate with Baron, and we've got a negate with Crystal Wing. So once again, the opponent has to get around 2 negates. And if we can just stop them clean turn 1, then we kind of got it, right? So they're going to go into Gigantic, I believe. They go into Gigantic, and we'll speed up here. I think, there we go. They go into Gigantic, we negate and destroy Gigantic, and then at that point they're done. They don't know what to do, right? So that's just another setup where you get Crystal Wing, you get Baron, it's pretty busted, right? Let's do the next one. This one I think we're going against Black Wings. And this one they actually fight back a little bit. Like, so I don't want to show you all where I just kill them right away. Show you some where we do a little bit of back and forth and can get some wins, right? So let's go into this one. All right, so very different start here, right? No win-witch combo, right? So let's see how this deck operates when we don't have that. So we go with Vidir. Vidir's going to pitch one. So we pitch Griffin, and then we special summon one from hand. Then we can special summon Fearsome Fire Blast because we have a wind monster on the field. Then we synchro those, and once again, we have a 3 and a 7. Instant Baron. Very easy, right? A level 3 tuner and Harpy Dragon, and we're good. And then Harpy Dragon also pitches a Wing Beast. So now we got some Wing Beasts, and we just have 2 imperms now, okay? So once again, this fight isn't as clean. So they open with Harmatan. Now I'm familiar with Blackwing, so I actually imperm Harmatan because I know he's trying to gain level to go into a bigger synchro play. So I decide to shut that down. And then I know that, oh, what's his face? Why am I blanking? Yeah, Gale. Gale's going to try to cut me in half, so I decide to imperm that also because I don't want Baron getting attacked over. So we used our both imperms. That's fine. But we still have Baron's effect to use. So now they're going to start going into synchro play. So they have a 5-star, right? All right, so they're going to go into that. And then they just set like a whole bunch of stuff. And then this is the mistake that they make. You don't want to attack my Gustos because now I float into more stuff that I want. So I just got attacked and then I floated into Eagle. So I have a 1-star on the field. Now here, nothing too crazy. We got Foolish. I decided to use Baron to pop a card. So then he's going to pop off his Back Blast, which is our Blackbird Close, which that'll actually kill Baron. And it's a counter trap, so I can't respond to it. And then they're going to get Blackwing Dragon, right? So I'm looking a little bit in trouble here, right? Like, just my Gusto. So I decide to attack in. The reason why is because now I can go into Pilica. Pilica's going to go ahead and grab Goldo. And then we can at least get into a Spreeze. I felt more comfortable with that. Like, I could have just left my Eagle out. But if they destroy it by card effect, then I'm dead. I've got nothing. So I wanted to at least get this going. I know I had to sacrifice some damage, but now Spreeze can add Griffin to hand, and I got Tailwind. So now I can banish Tailwind, discard Griffin, and now look at this. I'm kind of cooking a little bit. I basically had nothing, and I'm turning it into 3 cards on the field. Now it's going to be 4 cards on the field because Tailwind equips the Spreeze, brings out a level 1. I'm feeling pretty good right now. I got my 2 little guys now that can go into the beater. And here's the thing. When opponents don't know what Gusto does, look what happens. They don't understand Gusto. They attack my little guys. They take the damage. And then I float and I get another one. And he took the damage because of Spreeze. And then basically at this point, it's game over, right? So we'll speed up here. Now I'm just going to beat into their Blackwing Dragon and they're done. And here's the thing. Blackwing Dragon can negate effect damage. This isn't effect damage. It's battle damage. So they're taking all my battle damage. I keep floating and just attacking in. And when my opponent has big, beefy monsters, that's when Gusto operates well, and they're just dead. So they had me dead in the water. They had all the card advantage. They had everything. But it was a combination of them not understanding what Gustos do. And that's really like the way this deck can win is people don't understand what it does. They don't play against it enough. We can take advantage of that. We can exploit it. And we just went to town right there, right? So that was replay number 3. Let's go into replay number 4. I might just go fast on this one. And then I might pause it if I see something I need to note. But you've pretty much seen like all of the main combos at this point. I'm trying to think if there's any combos I've missed. There's like some cool Vidir plays that we'll probably see. We haven't really seen much of Vidir working. Okay, so here we've got, we've got our Wind Witch. So we're just going to open with that. So watch this. We'll go fast here. Open with the Wind Witch combo. So this is all going to pop off. Normal combo, right? Wombo combo there. Yep. And notice that we have Channeler, and we have an extra Wind Witch we don't need, so it's very easily pitchable with Channeler to grab something else, right? So they Veiler, so they interrupt. They honestly Veilered the wrong thing, because now I'm still going into Crystal Wing. So once again, they just didn't know what I was doing. discard to go into Vidir here. Summoning Vidir, dumping one, specialing one for free, specialing Fire Blast. Now we got Baron. So there we go. And once again, just a completely different setup. And we've got Baron Crystal Wing. So once again, if you open with this, like, a lot of times you do win. A lot of times you do. Yeah, there's like, I don't know what to do. I'm dead. So that was another opening. Good. So we'll go quick through these last replays. Now that you guys hopefully understand what I'm doing a little bit more with this deck. All right, we got 3 more left. We'll just go through really quick. But once again, if I see something a little bit different, I might pause it or go slow at that point. But right now, it's pretty standard. This is how the deck operates. I love Gusto. It's so fun. It's my favorite deck. Honestly, I feel like they just need a little bit more support. Like, give them a little bit more. Yeah, we'll see. All right, so let's go here. So this is an interesting start, right? So we start Foolish. I don't really have any combo pieces for it, so we just summon this. That's going to dump another one. But I basically just have to rely on Teleport to get Pilica. And then we do these two into Sprees. Now, I did make a mistake because I could have dumped a Tuner to get an extra body with Pilica. So I ended up going into Griffin instead, though, because I knew Sprees would come out. I could get Griffin, and then I could exploit the Equip card now to get the Griffin combo again. So you're seeing how important Griffin is to the deck to making it work with the proper cards, right? Now Pilica comes out, summons, we can equip. So this actually ended up being pretty optimal. And you can see that didn't seem like the greatest hand. We had one like generic Gusto and a bunch of Spell and Traps, and we're turning it into this. Now, it's not Baron, it's not Crystal Wing, but we got double Sprees. So sure, if they Lightning Storm right now, we're done, right? Like, this is easy for them to out. But once again, so they Feather Duster. I'm like, all right, sure, that's fine. Tailwind in the Grave just helps me because now I've got another Griffin in hand I can do next time. So now they're going to, going to Darklaw. Now, Darklaw would absolutely wreck this deck because it makes everything get banished. The deck won't work. So my thought is we have to get rid of Darklaw like ASAP. So we'll let them go through, do their hero stuff. But I've got like no negates here, right? So I'm at the mercy of them either not knowing what my deck does or, you know, just making a mistake or not having an out to this. Basically, we got 2 monsters that can't be destroyed by battle. But that's about it. Like, they can pretty much do whatever they want here. And we could be dead. So it's looking like they've got the total advantage here, right? Like, they've got a way better field. But look, they don't understand! They don't understand! He just hit himself for 7,300. They don't know what they're doing! So we basically won that because they didn't know what they were doing. That's where Gusto can kind of shock sometimes. He was probably like, oh my god, I've got all this attack. I'm going to beat him down. And they didn't know what Gustos did. They didn't read the cards. So that was actually a pretty fun one. All right, we got 2 more left here. 2 more left here. But yeah, Gustos, and the thing I like about Gustos, I mentioned this before in the actual deck profile, I'm not a fan of Lynx just because, like, I hate all the stuff that's so combo heavy, it takes so long to do turns. Gusto's pretty simple. Like, I just like it. It's fun and it's simple. All right, so here we're going to start with the Crystal Wing because we see Ice Spell, right? That means Crystal Wing, provided they don't negate. So here we go. Instant Crystal Wing. Did not use a normal summon. And we've got 2 Tailwinds and we've got a Griffin, right? So this one, normally I'd like to get a Tailwind in the grave, but I don't really have a way to do that. So you'll see what I do here. We get my Crystal Wing. I just summon the Griffin and equip it. And then I can use that to get Pilica. Pilica can get another piece. I decide to go for the 1-star because then I can ditch all that into Baron. Now this Baron was summoned with Snowbell. So right now, Baron and Crystal Wing cannot be destroyed by card effects. So watch this. They do this, and they're just getting it in the grave because they have an effect on that. They try to Lightning Storm. Now here's the thing. I do negate it with Baron, but if I didn't negate with Baron, they would have only killed Pilica. Because both Baron and Crystal Wing are under Snowbell, so I should have just let it go through, so they would have been astounded that those 2 would have survived, and then they're just done. So we got another Baron combo there. Okay, all right, one more. One more. And that'll be it for the replays. And this one I literally just recorded today. That one and the last one. I was just jumped into the new Duelist Cup that just came out, right? All right, last replay of the video. And we'll just go fast. I don't think I do anything new or crazy here. It's all stuff you've seen before, right? But here's just a full kind of Gusto start. Once again, though, I've got Channeler, right? Oops, I didn't mean to do that. I've got Channeler. So I'm trying to remember what I'm playing against here. Oh, this is a Galaxy Eyes deck, so it's not like a top tier meta deck or anything. But I love when people are playing the thing with on Master Duel. People are playing Dark Magicians, they're playing Blue Eyes, they're playing like this, like things with just big beefy attacks, and this deck loves it. It's so non-conventional, but I want my opponent to have big beefy attacks. So there, I search for the Ice Spell, and now I do the whole combo off of that, right? And then we get Crystal Wing again. Oh, this is good. I'm going to slow down. This is the standard Vidir combo. So watch this. We go into Crystal Wing, and if you open with Vidir and Pilica, this is what you do. Watch this. We're going to let Winter Bell finish up. We're going to go into Crystal Wing. But this is how you handle Vidir if you have Pilica in hand. This is the exact combo. Watch this. I love to do this. So you normal Vidir. Vidir is going to send, if you didn't have it, you'd send the 3-star tuner. Now, I already had it, so there it is. You send Goldo, and then Pilica summons Goldo. You synchro these two off, and now you've got Sprees, right? Or it would be Lapland Pilica if you had a level 3 in hand. Now, in any of these videos, I didn't happen to get Lapland Pilica. Once again, that's why you run it at 1. And then I can just attack over here a little bit. You know, this isn't like an instant win type fight, but we got a pretty good start there. And then we'll let the opponent go, and they're going to try to do some stuff. Okay, so they're going to get their tokens out. They're going to use that and equip it to a token. Do their search, that's fine. They're going to go into a link play here, and then when they activate the link monster, I negate with Crystal Wing because it's going to destroy. Now they have no body, they lost the effect. Now they've got nothing, and I just attack over for game. So anyways, guys, there you go. There's my Gusto profile and some replays. I hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know in the comments. I really want to know. If you guys want to see more Yu-Gi-Oh stuff on my channel, I might make some more if this video does well. But let me know what you're thinking. And once again, my channel is primarily Dokkan and DFFOO, but feel free to subscribe if you like any of those games. I think people are liking my channel, so let me know what you think. Thanks for watching. We'll catch y'all on the next one.